Basically today we're just going to be doing engine disassembly, take it all down to a short block basically, and just sort of give you little updates as we get each thing off as to how the engine looks internally and whatnot. So
am I just picking it off?
yeah, so we got the intake loose. We dropped an epic buttload of sand in there. Oof size at maximum. Oh.
Ooh. Yeah, we did. Maybe we should have like.
Well, what are you gonna do? I mean, we couldn't get in there because the heads have that crease. Well, I was gonna be like, oh, run my finger through the oil and see if there's any crunk in there. Well, there is now. Well, shoot. All right. Well, there it is. In all its glory. No. Now that this is off, I guess we're gonna try to take valve covers off and the heads next. Alright, so we removed the valve covers, and it actually looks really, really clean in there. Not really any sort of bad stuff anywhere that we can see. Come over to the other one. Oh, it looks really good. Now we're gonna pop the heads off and see how everything else looks. So we got the cylinder head off. I'm looking through the cylinders and pistons. They look pretty good. Can't really see anything wrong with them or anything. Anyway, there's a little, like, maybe past rust down here in the wall. All in all, though, it doesn't look that bad. Or feel bad or anything. I don't feel any bad ridges. You can kind of still see some crosshatch in them. Yeah, you can still see crosshatch. There's a lip, but not bad. I mean, it's a 103,000 mile engine, so. All right, we're gonna move over to the other one, get that off. So we got both the heads off. Bores on this side, there's a lot of crosshatch in them. The ones I can see so far look just fine. Nothing wrong with these. A little bit of a lip, but yeah, really not bad by any means. Yeah, quite a bit of crosshatch in there. I don't know what you can and can't see, but all right. I can't even remember what the last clip was that I recorded, but I think it was just the cylinder heads. We removed, obviously, water pump and timing cover and oil pan, and then we tried to clean all this up. And we flipped it upside down because all that dirt we dropped in there, and hosed the whole thing down, and it seems like it worked pretty well. So far so good. Nothing crazy or weird looking by any means. Timing set has, I mean, there's a little play in it. I don't know how much is acceptable or not, but all that's getting replaced. So, gosh darn it, dang bearing puller. We were trying to pull that front pulley. Where's the pulley? Oh, here. The front pulley, and it was like rusted onto the balancer down there. And I had that puller on it, and I was pulling, cranking it, and it wasn't really doing anything. Then that thing blew off at escape velocity and flew across the shop. That really scared the pants off me.
Well, sent all of us through the roof. It was far more forceful than I was imagining.
I wish I would have been recording for that. But hindsight being what it is, really wish we would have power washed it before getting in here, because, well, things like that happened. That might have still happened, honestly, because it could settle in that crease. But so anyway, just a little update. I don't know how much more we'll do tonight. All right, so it is the next day again. I've said that a lot this week, but or this video. But anyway, we did our best to clean all this out. I don't remember if I recorded any of this or not. I guess I'll find out when I'm editing. Flipped it upside down, sprayed it out. It did a really good job getting the sand and stuff out. Cleaned the deck surface on both sides, gasket scraper. Feels good. And got all the rest of that out. Pulled the dowels. And now I just took the cam and crank gear off. And we're kind of trying to scrape up all this gasket first before we open everything up, because there's all this crunk around here. I'm sure we'll fall around in here, and we're gonna try to clean all that up. It's nothing exciting, but it's progress. So we'll report back when we do. We'll probably be pulling this out. Okay, so we pulled the camshaft out. Bearing looks fine to me anyway. And there's the old bump stick. Nothing really wrong with it. It's fine. I mean, you can tell there's wear where the rollers were riding. That's normal. I mean, it's 100,000 plus mile engine. So he is unboxing the other bump stick, which is actually, this is a FTI cam that I had him custom grind. Really, actually not a bad price at all. I didn't go with billet core, but I don't need billet core. This isn't a hardcore crazy racing engine. And so we're gonna jam that in, and hopefully all this goes well. So that'll be our first cam we've installed, or I've installed. So let's do this. All right, we got the new cam in the engine. That's, like he said, more stressful than you'd like. It's in. Now I guess we try to set it up and degree the thing and get the new timing set and all that on. So, not really going to be doing much of a tutorial for cam degreeing, because there's a lot of, I'm not doing a tutorial because there's so much good stuff out there on it, and so many people out there who could explain it better than me and Jeremy. So yeah, we're just gonna get to this, put our new timing set on, which is over here. Got a new Cloy's timing thing, and it's got 2-degree advance and retard things cut, or grooves, key waves, whatever, cut into the crank gear. So I haven't recorded in quite some time, and I think the last thing I recorded was us stabbing the cam in. We degreed it, got all that figured out, and degreed as they wanted it to be from the cam manufacturer. Installed, obviously, the timing cover, gaskets, all that, water pump, harmonic balancer, pulley. Now, because we thought we had ordered lifters, but we didn't, and so we had to order them, and we were waiting on these to come. So now I can check our valve train geometry and get it figured out what I need for pushrod length, and we're also going to check piston to valve clearance with that. We're probably going to get started on that now, and we'll bring you along for the ride and let you know what comes up, if anything. So, okay, so we're checking pushrod length, and I'm using the vice grip method. So if you want a really good video on this, go check out his big block build, episode 2 of it. And about the middle of the video, he talks about how to get proper valve train geometry. So we drew a line from, that would be the center of this trunnion to the roller tip, would be straight through the centers. And basically, from my understanding of the vice grip video, is we're trying to set this up while it's still loose here and sitting on the valve stem to be about 90 degrees to that valve retainer thing. And I'm sure the fisheye will probably play heck with that. But we're trying to set that up loose, and now that we have that setting loose, using this paperwork and like doing some of the math he did in there, all you're doing is taking your lift, dividing it by 2, and then taking half your lift and dividing it by that 0.050, which gives you how many turns you have to take this rocker nut. It depends on the thread spacing or how many threads per inch on your rocker arm studs. So 7/16 is it's a 7/16 by 20 threads per inch stud, so that's 50 thousandths per turn, and we're trying to take away half of our valve lift. So with all that, taking that half of our valve lift and dividing it by that 50 thousandths per turn, it gives us how many turns we should turn this rocker nut now. So where we're at is just the turning part basically of the rocker nut. We established our loose 90 degrees. I have a mark here so I can see better how many times I have to turn this, and now we're gonna do that. So I have to do 5.84. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Be like 5 3/4 there, right?
Yep.
And like 8 in there. 8.8.
I have no idea what a 0.84 looks like.
So right now I'm trying to adjust this. Oh, I have that turned in. That 5.8-ish turns. I'm trying to adjust your checker until there's 0 lash. So now that we had that in the right place, that 5.84, and then you wiggle this until you don't have any lash in here. Obviously not really tight, but just until it can't wiggle up and down in the lifter cup anymore. Now we just screw this out. We take this off, and now we measure the length of that push rod. All right, so we put this in the checking tool in there, whipped it over twice, and it came out pretty centered. I don't know if you can see the mark. It's maybe a little biased towards the exhaust side of the head, but I guess I'm not too worried about it. Read about it a little bit. Now we're gonna probably take the head off and check our piston to valve clearance. Okay, so we had done the whole finding proper pushrod length before, and our pattern was kind of far down on the valve stem, and after doing some reading, it seemed like in talking to people, it seems like you kind of want it more centered than what that method was giving us. I don't know that method doesn't work, because obviously it worked when Vice Grip Garage did it. We might have just done something wrong or whatever, but it got us pretty darn close, so we'll say that. A 7.1 is what we're at right now on our push rod length, and that's what gave us that last pattern, which is pretty well centered there, and it's hard to see because I kind of smudged it, but it's pretty well centered there. And I measured it because people said the track width, I think, shouldn't be wider than 50 thousandths, the wear mark. It's right in there. I don't know if these heads make it a little bit strange because they have the angled valves, but pretty happy with how that turned out. We're pretty much going to stick with 7.1, at least that's what I was thinking. Yeah. So, and I actually saw a guy on a forum say that he did 7.1. We obviously put the lifters in and the little retainer, and I ordered, because I sacrificed a head gasket to test piston to valve clearance before, which we're like kind of riding the edge, I would say, on piston to valve clearance. I don't plan on revving it out very high. This thing's probably going to have its rev limiter set at 6200 like stock, but like I said, we sacrificed that head gasket, and I ordered a different one which came today so that we could put both heads on, but it got murdered in the mail. It was twisted into funny balloon animal shapes, and it finally showed up, so I have to see if I can get my money back on that, and instead of Amazon this time, I'll order it from Summit along with our push rods. That's basically where we sit with the engine for now. Won't be able to do really much more for assembly until obviously we get that other head gasket and push rods. So in the last clip, I showed us measuring push rod length. We didn't use the mid-lift method that I had seen Vice Grip Garage do, and we came up with 7.1, and that was where we got our best tracking. And unfortunately the engine is obviously covered right now, so I can't really show it, but I think I wiped the mark off the valve stem anyway. So we came up with 7.1, and then I went back this morning, because that was actually last night, and I wanted to see what I could get doing the vice grip method, but I focused really, really hard on making sure that that initial 90 degrees was what it needed to be, and like as accurate as possible. So I did that, and I set it all up the way he did. I used my calculation sheet here, or whatever you want to call it. So I just made sure that that 90 degrees was as close as I could get it. And what do you know, it patterned really well. I was like, oh, this is perfect. I did the mid lift correctly, and when I paid attention to my 90 degrees really closely, and you know what it came out to? It was like 7.09 something, and we had 7.1. And that was with me using calipers versus just eyeballing that tool and the turns. So it's probably just a difference in that. Basically, both methods work, is what I'm trying to say. So basically, yeah, both methods get you darn near the same result. I measured my track width, and both were within the 50 thousandths that people say you should. That's that wear mark pattern on there. So yeah, I was really happy with how it came out. I was happy I basically re-verified it using that other method and just really trying to make sure I got everything right.